Hello, Amy. It's Gail here from Ornamentology. Now, we've known each other a long, long time over the wire, and then we met up. I came to your fabulous little studio, and it was rather
Oh,
marvellous
that was
there.
great.
Oh, it was. I got ever so lost on the way there, but it's a terminal problem for me. Anyway, enough of that. It was really great to meet you in person. It's weird, isn't it? It's very weird because you don't know whether you're supposed to hug someone, shake their hand, or whatever, because you feel you know them, but actually you don't really know them at all. It's very strange, isn't it? That oddness. So yeah, while we were there, and rummaging through an enormous charity shop. It was fabulous, actually. We hatched this plan to do like a reverse interview type situation, didn't we? Because you've interviewed me many moons ago, and now I've got the golden ticket to ask you those little gnarly questions that maybe people want to know the answer to. What do
No,
you
that's
think?
cool. No, it's really great to have you on today, Gail. And obviously, we have wanted to do this for quite a while. But during how our little sort of outing, we thought, oh, maybe we could do it here. But then it was a case of obviously all the technicalities and all that sort of stuff. So we decided to kind of run this session now and then just see what comes out of the chat.
That sounds really good to me. Right then, so what I'm curious to know about is where did your creative journey start then, Amy? When did it start? How did it start? What was that all about? How did you get going, if you like?
I think it would be college that it all started off. And funnily enough, when I actually started out, it wasn't 3D.
Really? Oh, wow.
Mm.
So what did you do to start with then? Because it's very 3D now.
I used to be like really scared of embroidery machines, and I was really interested in like sort of the dyeing and print processes, and the heat
Oh,
process was pretty fun. And I remember not so long ago, we actually spoke about printing, didn't we? About jelly plates, and I'm still wanting to try that out. I've got it in the studio, and I'm still
oh, you
wanting to
need
do
to
it.
get it out. It's brilliant. It's really good fun because you can kind of use anything that you've got about you to make an impression on the paint and
Mhm.
then take monoprint from it. So all of your squiggly diggly stuff that you do, your 3D kind of drawings, they would make an excellent print.
I was looking into one of my final major projects that I did at college. It was called Losing the Thread, which was basically to do with the idea of like threads in an alternative way, like printed sort of. So it looked like it was printed, like an imitation of. And what else was there? Yeah, and then had these like prints that was building up through the heat press. And it was really interesting with like what was kind of creative from it. Do you know when you kind of have these all these experiments and you do these just try all these things out and then things start to happen from them. That's when I started to realize that the kind of actually what I was looking at was it looked like sort of how can I put it, like the nervous system. It looked
Yeah.
like quite brainified. And it's funny how like obviously that project back then has now brought scope about what I'm still doing now, which is like advocating like in mental health.
I think that don't you that you have a kernel of an idea and then that's kind of that is what you're about, isn't it? That's the essence of your
Yeah.
work. And it wanders off, doesn't it? It is like a thread, isn't it? It's this journey and it kind of tootles off. Do you not find that?
Yeah, well, with this particular project, so in terms of mental health, it was basically based around dementia and how obviously losing the thread in the terms
Yeah.
it would be the memory, etc. So I was looking at like painterly portraits and things, and obviously down that line that's when I kind of ventured more into the embroidery machine. That's when I kind of got a bit more confident, because obviously when you first start college it's kind of like, oh, I'll dabble in this and I'll dabble in that, but then it's kind of like gaining that confidence to use a sewing machine. But at this point in time I knew that I wanted to kind of go to Manchester University. And basically that's when I decided to study textiles, because of that sort of interest in like the delving more deeper into sort of experimentation, the curiosity of materials, and see what came about of it.
So how did you find the education system? Did it serve you? Did it nurture you or not? Because sometimes it doesn't, does it? I mean, I don't
So
know. How was your experience?
So in some parts it was like absolutely great in terms of like so I've spoke before about like art teachers. I also had a technology teacher, Mr. Blaze. He was pretty cool as well. So I was kind of at this. So obviously I'm not going to talk about the art so much, but this is more about like wood technology. So it was really funny. So when I was doing it in wood technology, there was like obviously a lot of guys on there because it's very stereotypical, isn't it? Oh, we do woodworking, whilst like the girls would do food tech, whatever. No, but I thought, oh, I'll go for it and see what happens. And funnily enough, I probably got some of the better grades than the lads, which was really funny.
That would
So
have not been.
it's quite nice.
It's impossible to believe, isn't it? I mean, I was at secondary school in the 70s because I'm that vintage, and I wanted to do woodwork and technical drawing, well, metalwork and technical drawing actually,
Mhm.
and I couldn't do it because they flatly refused to have a girl in the boy class because they said I would be
Really?
distracting. Now, I don't know what they thought I was about, but at a teenager, I was gawkily, I was the same tall as I am now. I was gawkily tall and ridiculously shy. And, I just considered that nobody even realized I was walking about, let alone in their class. And so I don't know how they imagined that that was going to affect all these testosterone fueled boys, because I don't think any of them looked at me more than once if they ever did. But they wouldn't do it. And that's really shocking to know that all those years later, we're still in that stereotypical mess, really. It's
Mhm.
bizarre, isn't it? We don't seem to be going very far forward with that, I don't think.
No, it is. It's either you do one thing or another, and
It's
it
weird,
is like
isn't it?
sometimes I suppose as well that kind of holds people back in terms of where they want to go in their creative journey. So, like, if you are a woman, it should be you should do textiles. You should kind of go and venture off into more like I don't know, like feminine realm. Whereas men woodwork and creating these big sculptures and things. And yeah, I do think sometimes that might hold people back from doing the stuff that they really want to.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. I'm kind of a bit on a feminist soapbox, but you know what I mean? It's that thing, isn't it, where you think, why is it still like that? We're supposed to
Mm.
be this all inclusive, everybody, come one, come all, have a go at anything.
Mhm.
And it seems like it's still difficult. I don't know. Maybe it's in us all and we just don't want to admit it. I have no idea. But anyway, there you go. So apart from, I think we all find that, don't we, when we go to, because I guess you left home to do that, so that's a whole experience, isn't it? You're suddenly fledging your little wings out of the
Mm.
nest and off you trundle, and you find these key people, don't you, that just inspire you, and they put wind under your wings almost, don't they? And they kind of press your buttons to make you think. And you can probably list them on the fingers of your hands. There's not millions of them, but they're just there at the right time to just push
Mm.
you in the right direction. And they're just godly people, aren't they? Really, these people and usually, I don't know about you, but I found they're usually the most unlikely folk.
So for education for me in terms of like university, the support that I thought I was going to get, I didn't. And it was really hard at one point because I felt like people were all doing the different things, whether that be in fashion or this or that. And I was thinking, well, where do I fit in that? But
Yeah.
at the time, it was more about getting that work out, making sure it fit some certain criteria. And then even at that point, I was like, so I've got creative work that's being forced out of us and it doesn't align with who I am. And at the point, I was thinking like, oh, well, what am I going to do? So as a result of that, I went home because I got really overwhelmed with it all and stuff, loads of deadlines and things like that. But it was kind of like trying to stay true to who you were in relation to the making, even though you might not have known what it is or where it is that you wanted to go with it. But it's only just recently, really, where I feel the stuff that I'm doing now kind of aligns back to the past, and now it's all sort of becoming this one thing, which is really peculiar because you think all these little tangents, they'll never piece together, they'll never and somehow fit, and then they all just start like coming together like really slow, which is really exciting.
It is, isn't it? I found at least the first 2 years quite prescriptive of my degree, and it sounds like you did too. It's
Mm.
like you've got to do this, you've got to leave that. But I think it's like that now, education, isn't it? It's like passing your blooming driving test. They train you to do your O levels, GCSEs. They train you. Listen to me, old granny. They train you to do your A levels, and then they train you to pass a degree. And there's just no. You wonder where the creativity comes in that,
Yeah,
because you have to
yeah.
swim in your lane, don't you? And art isn't like that, is it? And
No.
like you, I think when it all clicks together, you kind of wonder how that is so. But I have a theory that you're the curator. So therefore, of course, it's going to fit together, because you're kind of like orchestrating this and curating this body of work, because, you know, your life creativity is a body of work, isn't it? You know, the things that end up on the cutting room floor, the things that you think are okay and everybody else thinks rubbish, and the things that actually you're not so sure about and everybody else thinks is okay. All of that maelstrom of creativity is curated by your own self. So therefore, it becomes a body of work, and it all links together, because intrinsically it's about your thoughts, isn't it?
Mm. Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Like it is like in a way, like for me now, it's like every piece of artwork that I end up creating is like a 3D version of a sort of visual diary. If that makes sense, like
Absolutely
the
does.
sort of thought process, it's like the interwoven sort of, because what you'll find with my work, it's very loopified, it's very like I don't know, it is very sort of thread-like in itself, but it's more in a three-dimensional sense. And you've said before, like they look more like drawings.
Yeah, they're like a three-dimensional drawing, aren't they? Yeah, they are.
Mm.
So how did you make the leap then from potentially making things on a sewing machine, and it being very flat, in inverted commas, and and that uni thing, to what you do now, which is this really dynamic work, and the potteries? I mean, I guess being in Stoke would help quite a bit there, because geographically you're in the right spot. But how did you get from that girl that had decided she was so fed up with university and the prescriptive nature of it, to this woman that's kind of doing this thing that she's doing now? How did that happen? Because that seems like a big leap, really.
Yeah, so you wouldn't really think, but like when I went to when I was at uni, I actually travelled to London. It was just for a week, to be fair, and it was there that I did like it was a product sort of assistant role.
Oh, no.
At a I don't know, you may have heard of the jeweler, Tati Divine. So very bespoke jewelry. They do customized pieces. They do
Right.
like one-offs. They do all sorts of things. And to be fair, like it was one of those things that during that time, I was like, right, I need an internship, but I'm not quite sure as to what internship I should really go for. For me at the time, it was more like I was looking at, I suppose people would probably say more fine art concept sort of artworks, and what it was and the sampling I was doing then. But I was feeling like, I don't know what it was, but I was being pushed in a fashion direction, but I didn't want to go down the fashion route because it's very competitive, if that makes sense. So I was interested by that. I think it was more like the tactile nature of fashion. So yeah, I went to London, and it was just for a week, like I said, and it was basically as a like a product assistant role, where I was like seeing how the jewelry was created and putting together, and I loved how they were being attached and interlocked and that sort of thing. And then for me, it was there. I was like, actually, with the things that I'm creating, how could those sorts of marks and patterns and things, how could they actually be utilized in a way where they could be more 3D? Because there's probably more scope with it then.
Yeah, absolutely. Because as you say, fashion's just a different animal, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an entirely different discipline altogether. And I think when you are at uni, you kind of you're subject and to all sorts of experiences, and you get to use equipment that you probably didn't even know existed.
Hmm.
And you know, it's all there before you, isn't it? All you've got to do is jump in and have a go. And that can have quite a bit of overwhelm, really, because if you're not quite sure where you're going, or you've got gazillions of ideas in your head, which is most of us. And,
Hmm.
you know, I think having now met you, spoken to you for a little while and met you, you've definitely got that whole fine art person method about you, the methodology.
Yeah.
Craftspeople have a different methodology. It's
Yeah.
not less, it's different. They just look
Hmm.
at it differently. You know, they go, here is whatever their material is. What can I do with this material? And I think fine art brained people think, right, I want to get this message out. How am I best going to illustrate that? And I mean, illustrate in the broadest sense. And I think that's how you think. So it's very conceptualized. Not that that means you end up with a pile of nothing at the end of the day. You don't, because none of us do. But it starts out as a concept, doesn't it? And then it's made into something. Or so it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that you went from this thing to something else to make your point, I think.